Hello, friends. Have you ever seen something like this? It's a 24-hour candle, or 25-hour, and this one in particular says a yahrzeit memorial candle. Yahrzeit means something of the year. Very often, Jewish people commemorate the life of a loved one, especially on the anniversary of the death, by lighting a 24-hour candle. And they call it a yahrzeit candle. This is a candle that commemorates the life of so-and-so. Why a candle? Amongst the many reasons, the soul of man flickers upwards. The light of a candle is always flickering. And the mystics point out similarities between a soul and a wick, and therefore, to remind ourselves of someone's life that was lived, the soul that had left, we have a flickering light. So usually if you were to see this type of a 24-hour candle in a home or perhaps in a synagogue, almost always it's a commemoration of someone's life. But those of us that are familiar with how we usher in the Holy Sabbath know that the woman of the house lights a minimum of 2 candles and sometimes adds for the household. So a fellow came in to a beautiful Jewish home and saw something remarkably outlandish. And that was, there were 3 candles lit in honor of the Sabbath, but they were not ordinary candles. They were 3 24-hour candles, 3 yahrzeit candles. And he was a bit taken aback, thinking, was it a yahrzeit? I mean, did someone's parent die, or why a memorial candle? And he was told the following, very interesting. This couple had not been born into a observant Orthodox home and found the observance of Judaism much later in their life. Well, one of the beautiful commandments that they accepted upon themselves was to celebrate the Shabbat, the Sabbath. And of course, the nicest way to bring in the Shabbat is with a beautiful Friday night dinner. So they did all of the right things. She lit the candle, and then the husband, who's making tentative steps to become more observant, makes the kiddush, and they have this wonderful dinner, this beautiful young couple. And after the dinner, they have their first issue to consider. You see, the husband was a smoker, and after a heavy meal especially, he enjoyed a smoke. And of course, on the Sabbath, he's not supposed to smoke. And he felt very uncomfortable not smoking. On the other hand, somehow smoking by the Sabbath table didn't fit into the steps they were undertaking. After all, they wanted to become more and more traditional, and traditional Jews keep the Sabbath and do not smoke. So I don't know how he resolved the issue that Friday night, but the next week he consulted with the rabbi, he and his wife, asking, is it okay for them to have the Sabbath meal and then for him to smoke? Or if he knows he's going to smoke, maybe they shouldn't even have the Sabbath meal. And the rabbi very wisely understood that they're just making their first steps in Judaism, and he gave the following compromise. He says, look, it certainly wouldn't be correct to break the Sabbath by smoking by the Sabbath meal. So I'll tell you what, as long as the Sabbath candles are burning, see if you could control your urge for smoking. Once the Sabbath candles go out, then you should not smoke, but if you do, at least you're not, so to speak, affronting the table. He liked it. The man liked it very much. And the next week, she lit the candles, and they had this beautiful meal, and they had a discussion, and there was really quality time. And he was waiting for the candles to go out. And as soon as the candles went out, he left the room and went outside and took a good smoke. And this continued for the next 3 or 4 weeks. The wife realizes that as long as the Sabbath candles, her husband didn't feel the need to smoke. So she asked her husband, do you mind if I maybe use longer candles? And he laughed. He says, yeah, well, let's try it. And the following week, instead of using a 2-hour candle, they used actually a 4-hour candle. and to the delight of the husband, as long as he looked at the Sabbath candles burning, he didn't really want to smoke. It's only when the candles went out that he kept on saying, when they go out, that's when I'll go out as well to smoke. Well, 4 months pass, and she increases the 4 hours to the 6 hours. And by now, they're keeping the entire Friday night as traditional Jews. And things are beautiful, except in the morning, when he gets up, he has a coffee, and almost instinctively he took a cigarette, and there were no Sabbath lights to remind him of the holiness of the day. So he says to his wife, what are we going to do? And she thought of a brilliant idea. Yes, she took one of these 24-hour candles, which is usually to commemorate the life of a departed, and she lit the candle Friday night. And now the candles lit that entire Friday night. They remained lit the entire day, and they only went out Saturday night. And do you know that this husband was able to control his urge for smoking, because as long as the candles were flickering and the flame was lit, he did not feel the necessity to break the Shabbat by smoking. So it's a cute story. It's a candle that not only commemorates a life that was, but in this particular case, it was a life that was beginning. My friends, the secular New Year has just started. I could wish you a new year of finances. I could just simply also mention that a new year, even if it's not ours, is worthwhile to say good things. May we all be blessed with a lot of goodness. But it's also a reminder, and that is something new could actually just be a renewal of the old, or something new could be actually a truly fresh beginning. I would like to think that all of us have what to offer, we all have what to improve, and we can all change for the better. Let this year be a change for the better, and may we all be blessed with good health, a lot of happiness, and may the righteous Redeemer come very soon. Amen.